The Supreme Court deciding to keep Title 42 in place for now, but the crisis at our southern border is still dire. Thousands of migrants are flooding into our country, and the U.S. Border Patrol is preparing for an even bigger influx. This picture you see right now, courtesy of the New York Post, shows a massive migrant tent now in place in El Paso, Texas. It's bigger than a football field. And the Daily Mail found this gaping hole in the border fence. Illegal immigrants are coming up with even more extraordinary ways to get in, including digging holes and using sewers to sneak into Texas. Governor Greg Abbott sent 3 buses of migrants to Washington over the weekend, and Democrats are blasting him for it. Listen.
That kind of cruelty also says something, I think, today about the Republican Party and where it is, that you have people like Abbott and DeSantis trying to figure out who can be the biggest jerk. And I really don't know what's scarier, the fact that you can have somebody that cruel, that mean in office in such a position of power, or that there's something underneath that, which is a base of the Republican Party that gets its kicks by this kind of cruelty toward people.
But what has the Democratic Party done? Vice President Kamala Harris is the border czar, but she's certainly not on the front lines. Watch.
Do you have plans to visit the border?
Not today. But I have before, and I'm sure I will again.
Not today, she says. And the president also didn't find time to visit the border, even though he was right near it earlier this month.
Mr. President, why go to a border state and not visit the border?
Because there's a more important thing going on. They're going to invest billions of dollars in a new enterprise.
Mr. President.
And progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had this photo op at the border back in 2018. But where is she now? Joey, where is she now?
Probably in a nice high-rise in the city somewhere, I would imagine. I'm not really sure. Maybe over in Alexandria. Those people that hate freedom love to live on the free side of D.C. I don't know where she is, and I really don't care. When we talk about, someone says, how could you be as cruel as Governors Abbott and DeSantis? How could you be as popular as Governors Abbott and DeSantis? I mean, Americans aren't stupid. We're treated that way by this administration and sometimes by all in Congress. But when we talk about the border in Title 42, listen, I've spread the blame here. This is the ultimate hypocrisy in government. I mean, the Democrats not long ago were telling us what a pandemic we had, and now they want to get rid of Title 42, which is based on the pandemic. The Republicans to this day, which I agree with, are saying the pandemic is well over, but they want to support Title 42 and the pandemic as their method. It's time that people start acting honestly. I mean, if you want to say we have a major health emergency, you can go to the Drug Administration website right now. They have a Faces of Fentanyl at their headquarters, memorializing the people dying from drugs pouring across the border. The first thing you'll see on their page is from their director talking about what a poison it is. And I don't understand why some of these Republican attorney generals aren't using that and asking for a renewal of Title 42. This using COVID, that's a Band-Aid fix to a tourniquet problem. I know a few things about tourniquet problems. Congress needs to go to work here.
Well, Lauren, why is the Biden administration relying on the Supreme Court to enforce the border? Isn't that their job? Is that what the Biden administration should be doing?
Good thing that this is a gift that they were given, because now they bought themselves time until June to maybe come up with some sort of policy to stem the flow. I mean, you saw that big football field tent in El Paso. That's like a giant welcome mat. You have people on the other side of the border in Mexico saying, well, I know something's going to happen. It's going to be easier to get in, and they're just waiting. And look, Title 42 is a Band-Aid, right? You get turned away, you keep going, but it has helped prevent 2.5 million migrants from crossing since it has been in place. So it does something as we wait for this broader solution. Now's the time, because you have both Democrats and Republicans saying this is a problem, something needs to be done. Since April, Texas has bused 8,700 migrants to D.C., 4,500 to New York City, AOC, 4,500 are here and counting since April, 1,500 to Chicago. So these sanctuary cities who are already struggling with our own problems, crime, etc., now have to care for migrants as well. This is everybody's problem.
Well, and talking about Congress, Cassie, you've earned your stripes working in Republican politics. I think the challenge with Congress is it's not just Democrats and Republicans divided. You have divisions in each party as well about how to handle, these broader immigration issues.
That's a really good point. If it's not even just hanging with your own crew, there's like crews within the crew. Just really quick point on how many have been bused up here to these sanctuary cities. Like, think of how overrun the border towns are, and there's like zero extra support or help for them, and these poor men and women, actually Border Patrol agents. The most inhumane trip that these illegal migrants are taking is to the border. I bet it's pretty comfortable on that bus or that flight up to these sanctuary cities. So for Castro to be saying that is just totally tone deaf and very partisan. But yes, I think we can all agree. I think we both worked on Capitol Hill during one of these immigration debate iterations, and you'd get stuck on like, did you say an all of the above? You're canceled. You know, it was like stupid stuff that would get this stuff held up. And that's where these members of Congress need to recognize. Really good point, Joey, on fentanyl. What is happening to our communities?
Joey always makes good points.
Yes, he does. As a result of the lack of policies, the lack of enforcing our laws, and come together on that, because it is everyone's problem, to your point. There's no one who is escaping this reality right now.
Well, and great point on the hypocrisy, because the cruelty is encouraging people to make the dangerous journey, encouraging the human trafficking, encouraging the cartels, encouraging the fentanyl that kills Americans. That's the inhumanity, right?
Right.
But Cheryl, you know, there's always talk in Congress about the migrants, the legal immigrants, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But what about the American people? People are dying because of fentanyl crossing the border. There's crime up. Parents have lost loved ones for people as a result of people that shouldn't be in the country in the first place. So, what about the American people?
Well, that's where the cruelty is actually happening. And I think Joey touched on that at the beginning of the segment, is that it's cruelty to see people die of fentanyl, young children accidentally taking a pill and dying. It's cruelty to see what the cartels are doing with these migrants. Let's talk about the sex trafficking that's happening across the border. Let's talk about the abuse that we've heard many stories, I think, Sybil Malusian from Fox News talking about what he has seen, what he's witnessed. We have pictures that just break your heart. Children abandoned. We've seen kids tossed over those walls. Do you remember that? We've been covering this for 2 years, and what I think is so cruel, and I think this is what Governor Abbott is saying, because he did respond to the criticism, by the way, from the Biden administration, and he said, you know what, these migrants, first off, you know, they chose to go to Washington, D.C. They signed waivers in multiple languages. They wanted to go. And all of a sudden, the left is screaming over the weekend, they dumped migrants in the middle of the cold on Christmas Eve. They knew exactly where they were going. They're going to, hopefully, a better life. And in sanctuary cities, they're really getting one.
And we saw with Martha's Vineyard, it's all the liberals, like peace, love, coexist. And then when they came, they're like, okay, cool, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
See ya, in like 24 hours.
Right.
Joey, real quick, and then we got to go.
Yeah, real quick on the role of Congress in this versus the administration. Yes, President Trump did a lot to stymie the flow at the border. It should have never been put on his shoulders. Congress has an opportunity. Yep. How many Republicans just voted for a budget in the Senate that funds Border Patrol and explicitly prohibits funding border security?
Supreme Court, by the way, they said that. Supreme Court said that. I just want to put that out.
All right, great.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.